You will have to excuse all the noise in the background. We've got a major storm going on right now. I'm working on designing a custom monarch butterfly inspired dress. I'm using myself as a model, a younger version of myself. And what I had AI do, which I will not show, is I had AI from a photograph of me wearing a dress that only had part of my legs exposed and my stomach exposed, told it to render a artist rendition of my nude body. And of course, it didn't get my breasts right and all that, but whatever. It doesn't matter because I intended to cover them. I was just doing this for the purpose of getting the initial. It's easier to design on a naked body than it is on anything that has clothes on it. And before I fully design the dress, the wonderful thing about AI now is I can sketch it all the way out, run it through AI programs, try multiple different fabrics that I like to work with, and it will actually assist me in helping to pick the best fabric for the type of style and design that I want to do, and even make suggestions. So I like that part. And so I'm just playing with the design right now, and I'm just basically using my fingertip. I don't even have a stylus right now. I have to go dig out my stylus. I'm just doing this on my phone. As with artists of any form, and I happen to be a multifaceted, multi-form or multi-medium artist, sometimes when ideas or inspirations come to you, you just got to start jotting them down so you don't forget them while you could still see it in your mind's eye. And so you don't have time to bug around with trying to make sure you have all the appropriate equipment at your fingertips 24/7. I was actually in the middle of doing something else. But these are just some of the layering that I'm doing. And also, if there's no fabric that exists that has the patterns that I want on, and of course it's not, it's going to be an elaborate, detailed um, butterfly wing that's covering the bottom, one large one wrapping around the bottom part of the body, and then it's going to be the butterfly at the top. So all that's going to be custom drawn. But AI is so badass nowadays, it can actually print on whatever fabric we decide on will best fit and flow to make this dress. It can actually print the design I want directly to the fabric. So that's not even an issue anymore. Again, everybody is looking at AI, oh, it's horrible, it's horrible. Well, it really has some major, amazing um, applications that we can't overlook. No matter what is created, there will be people who will use it for evil, no matter what you create. And that is just the sad truth and fact of life in the world we live in. Somebody's going to find a way to do something nasty, ugly, and evil with anything and everything that is created. So you can't stop creating just because you know that it's not going to be all good. Nothing in our world is all good. We don't live in an all good world because then there would be all good people. And nobody's perfect. And then you have those who are predators and have predatory mindsets. We won't get into reptilian references. We'll just say they have predatory mindsets and predatory attitudes. And we still have to create and do and be. And hopefully mankind will evolve. But meanwhile, I'm working on this design, and I wanted to show you some of the beginning parts of it. And I just started sketching it. I had to cover up the vital body parts quickly, but get in and fine tune it and work on it and get it just right to where I really like it. And there'll be places I'll erase and go back over and do it again. But just for people who have never seen the working progress or process of working on designing anything. The next color I want to use is white. And I don't want to use a full white, so I'm only going to go to 7% occupancy because I'm just adding highlights throughout this. Because before I put the detailed, and let's see if you can see what I'm doing. Before I put the detailed black in, I want to get some good highlights throughout this. And then I'm going to go back over it again with the orange until I get the textures that I want of the fabric to look the way that I want it to. And then I'll go back in. And when I go back in and do the details, I will definitely use a stylus. Right now, my fingertip is sufficient. I've been painting and drawing for so long. I'm a senior citizen. And I can't tell you how many of my most beautiful works of art that I've created. Actually, a large portion of it was done using my own fingertips. The only difference with that and an oil painting and doing it on a phone screen is it's so teeny tiny. Oh my goodness, trying to see the details and work on the details. But for you young folks, just to get an idea of all the different ways you can create. Even when you're limited to what you have access to. Right now, all of our computer systems are down. Over 30 years of my work has been destroyed by the Fallon Naval Air juvenile delinquent cyber criminals. And all of our computers, all my beautiful, super expensive fashion and art and video editing and all that software have been crashed, and we'll probably have to replace all the software, and the majority of the equipment is going to have to be replaced because they put malware on it, and they injected malware on it so severely because we're all computer savvy in our family. We grew up with computers before people had computers. My father worked with NASA and military, so we've had access to things like that since long before most people ever even knew they existed. And they've actually put the viruses and things in the BIOS, which is on the motherboard of the computer, and injected malware and stuff like that in there. And once you get that extensive with injections, it's kind of game over when it comes to being able to utilize that system ever again, because it'll just keep reinstalling the malware. You really have to have super specialized equipment to clean that kind of a mess up. But and then things like the servers and the databases that they crashed, and our backup servers and all that had literally 30 years of my life's work on it. Anything that we didn't have saved to a disk, they crashed. Just to be evil and ugly and nasty, because that's who they are. Not the entire group, but there's a really nasty group who are hiding behind the military to be evil, nasty, racist. A large portion of the attacks that we've been enduring are racially motivated. And when people go, oh, maybe you might be mistaken. No, when people are calling you the N-word and out of your name and all that kind of stuff, it's pretty clear what their motivation is. There's no mistaken, and there's no she's being sensitive. No. But anyhow, had to get some colors in here, because that's going to be the waistline. I wanted you guys to get an idea and see how a lot of designs with clothing, and just like when I'm writing, whatever form of art I'm doing, just there's an idea in your head, and it's like a little bug or a bee in your bonnet, and you just got to get it out. And it doesn't have to be perfect. The thing about creating is just start. Just create. It'll flow to you. And the more you do it, the more it flows and the easier it becomes. And I'm a grandma, so a lot of the videos and things that I create, I talk to you like my children because I'm actually talking to my children. They may not see this right away or while I'm working on it, but at some point my grandkids and my children and my grandchildren are teenagers. And some of them have taken up the interest in art. And being that our family is full of very well-known fine artists as well as entertainers and performing artists, it always pleases my heart when other members, the young ones coming up, nieces, nephews, grandchildren, take an interest in art. It's kind of like a family tradition, a family legacy being passed on. So now you see how that's already changed tremendously from where I was when I began. And you just shape things and rework them according to how you feel. There's no right or wrong in art. It's what are you feeling? What do you want to do and how do you want to do it? How do you want to represent and present what it is you're working on? And yes, it's almost Shabbat when the sun goes down, but I've got a little bit of time to work on this. And I'm going to go back in with the orange. And I'm going to change the tone to a little bit deeper one this time. And we'll do. And then once I get all these colors in, I'm going to go back in with the black detail design. I don't know if you've ever looked at a butterfly's wings, but they're almost like feathers if you look at them close up. It's a combination of looking like they're made out of powder and looking like feathers. And I love designing feather dresses. But now you see that I'm getting the darker oranges, the deeper tones in. And then I'll do the bright orange last. Come back in and do the blacks. And then when that is done, and this is just for texture and depth. And we're not doing highlights and lowlights or anything like that right now. We're just doing texture and depth. Because I don't know if you're familiar with a monarch butterfly's wings, but they're quite detailed. And so all of that detailing will be done in black over top of this. For me, sometimes when I'm designing, the anticipation of actually making the real garment, trying to get through the designing stage of what it's going to look like and what it's supposed to look like as quickly as possible, so I could jump ahead to the let's get this thing made and try it on and that kind of stuff. Now let me get in here because I missed this section earlier when I was busy. So we got to get this all filled in. Let's match the orange that I was using. And you don't have to use this kind of a model. I like using a real life model in a real life situation to get a feel for or inspired while I'm working. But if you went to actual design school, they do it totally different. But in all honesty, that's why everybody's stuff looks the same. all these designers will come out with all these different designs, and basically they all look like they came out of the same place. So I prefer to do my own thing. And I suggest that other people do you, be you. Do you in a way that nobody else can do it. I'm going to bring it back and do a few deeper. But one day at a time, one step at a time. Let me take that down to a 1. That way I can get the wispy. Come back in with the yellows. I'm not going to bore you because this is a long process to get. Art is about layering, and there's many, many layers that I have to do to get it to look the way I want it to look, and then we'll actually produce the actual garment. And then, of course, we got to have somewhere awesome, special to take the pictures and wear it and get lots of photographs in it, which is the most fun part of designing. Unless, of course, I'm designing it for someone else, and then I still get to go and be at whatever event I designed it for and see them in the garments that I created. But there is no right or wrong. You just feel it. Whatever feels right to you, do it. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. With everything, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. But this is the very, very early stages. Normally, I never let anybody see any piece or anything I'm working on this early in the game. I don't mind. I was just inspired by something else that I just worked on. It gave me a butterfly wing vibe. And I was like, well, what if I just make a dress that looks like it was made out of real butterfly wings? So that's what I'm doing. Oops. And they have programs that are much better for using to do this with. Again, I have some amazing, or had some amazing software to work with and design on. Though at present, I don't know if it's accessible or if it will ever be accessible to me because they crashed our servers and things like that. But it's not going to stop me from being me and doing the things that I do. And that's another thing about being a true artist. It's going to come out of you one way or another. And no matter how other people may behave or act or think or feel, you're going to do you. I'm going to get rid of all this background out of my way. Here, let's get a nice big one. So just want to focus on the dress and the design of the dress. All the rest of this is just noise. But I will do a video of the finished product once I get that far. And this one might take a minute only because of the amount of detailed work that this particular design is going to require to get the finished product of the sketch and then to get the finished product of the actual dress. One of the nice things about AI is after I'm finished designing it, I'll probably use a different model or a different photo of me, but I can take it and put it in an AI program, and we can photorealistically produce the dress even before it's made and put it on whomever I choose to put it on. I might use my daughter for the model on that one once I get it to that point. But being that I'm designing it on my figure, then again, my daughter's figure is almost identical to mine, so it doesn't matter which one of us ends up being the model for it. But just an idea of this is how a lot of costumes for stage productions and shows and things begin. With just an idea and a person who's itching to get this idea out and sketch it, bring it up to now you can bring it up to photorealistic. Before, you would go get the fabrics and start experimenting with different fabrics. And a wonderful thing about the modern AI situation is that it will print what I draw on the dress on whatever fabric I want it on. So once we decide on which fabric is best to use for the dress, once the design is completed, once I'm through drawing it, then I can have it printed to the garment, whatever materials we decide that we're going to work with. So while everybody's complaining about AI, as an artist, I don't feel threatened by it at all. I'm actually quite thrilled by it. And I'm looking forward to all the amazing projects that I can work on utilizing it. So I'm signing off. I just wanted to, very rarely does anybody ever get to see how my creations begin. They all only get to see the final product, and it's usually me stepping out somewhere for an event in one of my outfits or something that I designed. So this is how it all begins.